Steve Rogers is back in action, and when the Star-Spangled Man finds himself at the center of the strange Century Game conspiracy, there's no telling what'll happen next. So let's hop into the pages of Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue number 1 and find out what happens together next, shall we? So then, as we open the book, we're treated to an internal monologue from Steve himself. He talks about his unhumanly long life, all of his past loves and losses, his great victories and triumphs, all the horrors of war that he's seen, as well as his never-ending mission to hold up the American dream. But now, though, things are different for Steve. He feels for so long he's been behind the Captain America mask, fighting secret empires, grand dictators, hate-mongers, and red skulls, that honestly it's been so long since he's been just a guy, and he wants to get back to basics. With Sharon away on a special secret mission, Steve decides that he's going to move into a brand new apartment. Well, new isn't exactly the word. It's an old apartment. In fact, it's the same apartment in Brooklyn he grew up in. Steve says he got a good deal on it because this is a bad neighborhood these days, and this exact unit is one heck of a rat trap. But then again, that's still New York pricing, so he probably only had to pay most of an arm and most of a leg. Steve's put together one heck of a schedule. He gets up every morning and runs 30 miles around the island with shield in hand, of course. A, it's good weight, and B, because he wants people to see him with the shield, but more importantly, he wants them to see themselves in the shield. It's not just his symbol after all, it belongs to the world. Heck, pretty much everyone wants a chance to hold it and take a picture, which means Steve has time to rehydrate without worrying. That's not the only new thing Steve is doing either. In fact, he's actually gone back to school, community college, for art no less. You know, that's really great. I loved it when Steve used to draw. I'm glad he's doing it again. Here's the thing though, he's not just doing regular old pencil sketches anymore, he's actually upgraded all the way to digital art. He's in a class with a bunch of young people who call him Mr. Rogers and say that he's pressing too hard on the tablet, which he is, like all old people do. Steve is also too shy to look at the nude model in his life drawing class for too long, which is just adorable. Going back to school has also afforded Cap the rare opportunity to make real-deal human friends, the first that he's made in what feels like decades. Hanging out with gods and monsters and everything is nice too, but even someone like Captain America could use a grounding influence, someone to grab a drink and go to the baseball game with and remember who it is he's actually defending out there. Granted, it's not a perfect system, they're all super nice to him and vice versa, but Steve still knows at the end of the day there's about 80 years worth of generational gap between them all. His body and soul might be young, but his mind is still that of an old man, and as such, Steve takes solace in his ham radio wherein he can talk to other golden oldies. Mostly they talk about their grandkids, the glory days back in the war, and all their different aches and pains, but tonight is different though, as a strange sequence of numbers is getting played over their signal. This seems like a mystery for Captain America to solve, but thankfully he doesn't have to do it alone, as these old ham radio enthusiasts not only are members of the greatest generation, but they also happen to be rocket scientists and Enigma codebreakers. And because, you know, these days with the new pills, I only sleep about 4 hours anyway, so I could use something to distract myself until the next crossword gets here. Surprise, surprise, but it seems that this sequence of numbers may just be the harbinger of something more sinister, a terrorist attack taking place during the New York 4th of July parade. Obviously, Steve can't let something like this happen on America's birthday, and as such, he suits up and is ready to go into battle. He has a nice little inner monologue to himself talking about all the heroes that he's inspired to don costumes of their own. He says that he ultimately had the easier fight than them because he didn't have to create a symbol. His had already existed long before him. He just doesn't carry a shield into battle, he carries a dream and makes it true. Cap isn't alone in this fight either, as Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Cap's longtime sidekick, decides to tag along and help him oversee the parade. Nothing happens for hours, but eventually the two end up picking up a very strange energy signature from one of the fireworks barges. It's there Steve actually comes face to face with someone he wasn't expecting, or at the very least a costume he hasn't seen in a very long time, a costume belonging to Brian Falsworth, the son of the original Union Jack, who had gone undercover in Nazi territory only to be experimented on by one of Dr. Erskine's students, in doing so turning him into the super soldier known as Destroyer. Of course, this new Destroyer is way too young to be Brian, and Cap is pretty upset that someone would try and repurpose one of his friend's old identities for evil, and I mean, really, can you blame Cap? His last 5 to 8 years worth of publication has all been about him fighting back against people trying to pervert his own image. age. This new destroyer does all the classic villainous monologuing, saying that Captain America is a relic of a bygone age, that he props up an evil empire without knowing it, and the only way for the revolution to truly begin is for Captain America to be taken off the board completely. Here's the interesting thing, though. While New Destroyer may have a very obvious distaste for Captain America, he strangely seems to venerate Winter Soldier. He loves the work he's done over the years. A feeling of which Bucky does not return at all. In fact, there's several times during the fight wherein Bucky asks Cap if he can take the kill shot on this guy, only to be, well, shot down. Naturally, Cap wants to take this guy in alive and ask him what connection, if any, he has to the Fallsworth family and to those strange numbers that he found over the ham radio. After some light interrogation, this guy ends up dropping reference to the Sentry game, which if you read the special Captain America prelude or the Sam Wilson Cap book, you'll know has already been mentioned once or twice before. The players in this Sentry game are still mysterious, but their end goal seems to be to control the 21st century, whatever that means, and this guy is so scared of failing them that he pretty much just dies on the spot. Before he kicks the bucket, though, he seeks to imply that whatever this Sentry game is about, Captain America's shield is for one reason or another at the center of it. That doesn't make much sense at first, but as the comic comes to a close, Bucky returns home, wherein he crosses Destroyer's name off a list, and we see a giant string theory board filled with dates and pictures, as well as what looks to be a recreation of Cap's own shield, implying that whatever the Sentry game might be, Winter Soldier might already be a player, or at the very least is aware of what it is. And so that was Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue number 1, everybody, and overall I thought this was a very strong start from Lanzing and Kelly. It's the sort of back to basics, back to Brooklyn, boots on the ground Captain America story I think a lot of people have been clamoring for since pretty much the end of the Spencer era. Obviously, Steve is still probably going to get involved in international intrigue, but he doesn't have to do near as much of that now because there's also the Sam book, which is also dealing with the Sentry game just from a completely different angle, which I think is a really interesting idea. I like the art, I like the action, I like the voice that they've created for Steve in this book. It sounds both familiar but also kind of new too. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 8.5 out of 10, and I hope it can keep up the good work. Could you imagine a world wherein we actually have 2 really great Captain America books going on simultaneously? What a world!
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.